I found out on a Thursday morning. The letter was sitting on top of the other post when I picked it up from the mat. Plain envelope, solicitor's logo embossed in the top left corner, my name and current address typed precisely in the center. I did not recognize the firm. I stood in my hallway and opened it. I read it once standing up. Then I sat down on the floor and read it again. The letter said that a residential property on Calloway Lane had been registered in my name since my grandmother's death 11 years ago. It said rental income had been collected from that property throughout those 11 years. It said the firm had attempted to contact me through the estate executor and had received no response. It said they were now contacting me directly. It said they had been trying to reach me for 4 months. My name is Lena Marsh. I am 31 years old. I work in urban policy research. I spend my days studying how cities allocate resources, who owns what, how ownership is documented, and what happens when the records do not match the reality. I had not expected to need any of that in my own family. I called the solicitor within the hour. A man named Thomas Webb answered. He explained everything carefully, the way someone does when they have learned to deliver unexpected information slowly. My grandmother had purchased the property on Calloway Lane 14 years before her death. She had held it as a rental. In her will, she had left it directly to me, named specifically, to be managed on my behalf by the executor until I turned 25, at which point full control and all associated income was to pass to me unconditionally. I had turned 25 6 years ago. Who has been collecting the rental income? I said. A pause. The payments have been directed to an account registered to Gerald Marsh, he said. My father. For 11 years, I said. Yes, he said. The full 11-year total, we estimate, is in the region of £290,000. I looked at the wall of my hallway. £290,000. 11 years. 6 years past the date when it was legally required to become mine. I thanked him and asked him to send everything. I hung up and sat very still for a long time. My grandmother's name was Ruth. She died when I was 20. She was a woman of few words and careful habits, precise about everything, the kind of person who chose her words the way other people choose furniture, slowly and with intention, because she expected them to last. She had one thing she said more than anything else. What a person does when no one is watching is the only true measure of character. She had said it to me when I was 12. She had said it again when I was 17. The last time she said it was 2 weeks before she died, sitting at her kitchen table with her hands around a cup of tea, looking at nothing in particular. I had loved her without fully understanding her. I was beginning to understand her now. My father's name is Gerald. He is 63 years old. He retired early from a career in property management. He knows how buildings work. He knows how leases work. He knows how rental income moves through accounts and what legitimate documentation looks like and what it looks like when it is not legitimate at all. He was also the executor of my grandmother's estate. He had handled everything after she died. He had been organized and efficient about it. Within a few months, he said, the process was complete. The process had not been complete. What he had done was look at a property registered in my name generating rental income every month and decided, without telling me it existed, to keep collecting it for 11 years. I called a lawyer the following morning. Her name was Claire Osei. She specialized in estate disputes. I sent her everything Thomas Webb had sent me, and she called me back 2 hours later. Her voice was calm and level. The will is unambiguous, she said. The property has been legally yours since your grandmother's death. The transfer of management was required when you turned 25. The collection of rental income from a property belonging to another person without their knowledge is not a gray area. Lena, this is not a misunderstanding. What does he owe me? I said. £256,000 net of legitimate expenses, she said, plus interest. And that is before we discuss the question of whether there are criminal implications. Write to him, I said. The letter went out on Tuesday. My father called me Thursday evening. I knew his voice immediately, the measured warmth of it, the tone he used when he was managing a situation and expected to be thanked for managing it. Lena, he said, I received something from a solicitor today. Yes, I said. I think there has been some confusion, he said, about the property, about how things were handled. Managing an estate is complex. There are costs people do not think about. Maintenance, administration, my time. The will gave you management authority until I turned 25, I said. I turned 25 6 years ago. These things are rarely straightforward, he said. I was protecting the asset. I was making sure everything was properly maintained until you were in a position to handle it. I have been in a position for 6 years, I said. And I did not know it existed. A pause, longer this time. Lena, he said, and his voice shifted slightly. I am your father. I have always acted in your best interests. Everything I have done has been for this family. This is a private matter. There is no need for solicitors and formal letters. We can sit down together, have a conversation, come to something that makes sense for everyone. I thought about my grandmother at her kitchen table, her precise hands around a teacup, her voice unhurried, matter-of-fact. What a person does when no one is watching. He had done this when no one was watching. For 11 years. Right up until the moment a firm of solicitors found a discrepancy in an estate audit and wrote to me directly. Because 4 months of trying to reach me through the Executor had produced nothing. The solicitor will handle all further communication, I said. If you have anything to say, please direct it to her. He started to say something. I ended the call. I sat at my kitchen table afterward and looked at the document Thomas Webb had sent me. The original will. My grandmother's words, typed precisely, witnessed and signed and dated. The property at Calloway Lane is left to Lena Marsh, granddaughter, to be transferred into her name upon the death of the testator and managed on her behalf by the executor until Lena Marsh reaches the age of 25, at which point full and unconditional control of the property and all associated income shall pass to Lena Marsh directly. Full and unconditional control, all associated income. She had written those words when I was 17 years old. She had sat with a solicitor and chosen each one deliberately, the way she chose everything deliberately, and she had made sure that what she wanted to leave me was protected in language precise enough that no one could misread it. No one had misread it. Someone had simply decided to ignore it. The legal process took 9 months. My father instructed his own solicitor. His initial position was that he had provided management services that offset the rental income and that any remaining balance was negligible. My solicitor requested full financial records for all 11 years. He produced 7 years of partial records. The remaining 4 years were reconstructed, using bank statements obtained through the legal process and tenancy records from the local authority. The process was methodical and thorough and took 3 months. When it was complete, the figures were clear. Total rental income collected over 11 years, £287,000. Legitimate documented management expenses, £31,000. Net amount owed to me, £256,000. Plus 6 years of interest from the date I turned 25. His solicitor made 2 offers during the 9 months. The first was for £80,000. The second was for $120,000. Both were rejected without a counteroffer. In the 9th month, his solicitor called mine and asked what figure would settle the matter. My solicitor told them. There was a pause on the line. Then they said they would take instructions. 3 days later, the settlement was agreed in full. The property was transferred into my name the following week. The tenants were notified. The first rental payment came directly to my account on the 1st of the month, the way it should have been coming for 6 years. I looked at the notification on my phone when it arrived. It was not a large amount. A monthly rental on a 2-bedroom house on a quiet street. Modest, reliable, mine. My father did not contact me for 9 months. He did not contact me after the settlement. What he did was speak to my aunt. She called me on a Sunday afternoon and relayed his message carefully. The way she relayed everything, with the slight apology of someone who has been put in the middle of something they did not ask to be part of. He had said I had betrayed the family over money, that I had taken a private matter and used it as a weapon, that my grandmother would have been ashamed of how I had conducted myself, I listened to all of it. Then I said my grandmother wrote a will with precise language and clear instructions and left something directly to me. She did that carefully and deliberately. My father read that will, understood what it said, and spent 11 years collecting income that belonged to me without saying a word. I think she would have had a clear opinion about which one of us she would have been ashamed of. My aunt was quiet for a moment. Yes, she said. I think you are right. She paused. She always said you were the one who understood her, she said quietly. I think she was right about that too. I did not say anything. I did not need to. I went to see the property on a Saturday morning in October. I had never seen it before. I parked on the street and sat in the car for a moment before getting out. It was a 2-bedroom house on a quiet street with a small garden at the back. The brickwork was clean. The garden was well kept. The current tenants had been there 4 years and had, according to the management records, never missed a payment. I stood on the pavement and looked at it for a long time. My grandmother had bought this house 14 years before she died. She had maintained it and held it, and then she had sat with a solicitor and named me specifically in a document that was supposed to protect what she wanted to give me. She had done that when I was 17. She had known something then that I was only understanding fully now. That love is not always loud. Sometimes it is a clause in a will, a property registered in a name, a decision made quietly and carefully by someone who understood that the world does not always give people what they are owed, and so you have to build it into the documents. She had built it into the documents. It had just taken 11 years and a firm of solicitors, and 9 months of legal process for it to finally reach me. I stood outside that house for a long time. Then I got back in my car and called Thomas Webb and told him to update the management records with my details as the registered owner effective immediately. He said he would have it done by end of week. I thanked him and drove home. The October light was going gold across the rooftops. Long and warm, the kind of afternoon light that makes everything look like it has been there forever. I had a policy brief due Friday, a meeting on Monday, a rental property that was now mine, and a settlement sitting in an account, and a grandmother who had known somehow, when I was 17 years old, that I would need it. I think she knew a lot of things. I pulled into my street and parked and sat for a moment before going inside. The first rental payment had come in that morning. It would come in again next month. And the month after that, and every month after that. Mine, finally, entirely, undeniably mine.